Do you think that Ruben Amorim gets the full season? We've touched on this already. I know you were saying earlier, look, results just need to improve.
Yeah, results need to improve. If the results don't improve, then he don't get it. The way it's going at the moment, I don't think he gets the full season. I think he could be gone in the next international break if these 3 results don't go his way. So I think it's crucial for him. And he'll know he's under pressure. We were talking about this before the last international, where they needed to win against Burnley, and they did manage to get the 3-2 results. These 3 games are so important to Ruben Amorim. We know he's not going to change.
Let's return to Manchester United now. Reported yesterday that the club remain patient with Ruben Amorim and have no plans to change their manager. But the rumbles of discontent continue. Has said this on his latest podcast. He said, "The one I'm worried about is Benjamin Sesko. He ain't getting no chances. He ain't getting no opportunities. There's nothing created for him." You've got to think about creating chances for him. Yeah. And Ferdinand has also spoken about his expectations for the club this season. He said, "If I sit here now and you ask me, where will Man United finish? I would probably say 6th or 7th. I would be happy with that this season." That's looking a long shot at this moment in time, which is something Jamie O'Hara has said already. But
yeah, look, he's been average. Start obviously against Man City is never easy. But I think Rio Ferdinand's right. I look at Voltamadu coming at Newcastle. I watched his debut and he scored goals, get the ball in the box, get crosses in. Where he's dangerous. They've signed Sesko, and what are they actually offering him? What are they giving him? What chances are they creating for him? It's all balls to feet. You've got back to goal. You've got a big, tall centre forward. Get the ball in the box. It's a graveyard for centre forwards at Manchester United. It really is. Højlund couldn't get a sniff at Manchester United. Never got the ball. I used to watch him and think he's never going to get a goal. He's never going to get a chance. All the wingers do, they want to come inside. With the system that they play is, with Ruben Amorim is Brian and Mbeumo is 2 number 10s. You've signed a centre forward who's 6'5". You've got to get the ball in the box. You've got to get him in a 6-yard area. You've got to get behind teams, swinging balls into box, deliveries. What's the point in signing someone who's tall and is good in the air and wants to get in the box and make things happen? You've got 2 number 10s and Bruno Fernandes who's playing as a number 6. Yeah, what chance you got?
From David, Benjamin Sesko, it takes people some time to adjust to a new league. Watch him over the season. He will come good, which I suppose you can understand, 'cause that's what you were saying about Trent at Real Madrid. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
Play a new country.
Yeah, you got to give him time. Of course, he needs to settle. You get that.
I think you're not actually. You're not saying anything negative about Sesko anyway, are you? It's the style of play that your issue is.
Yeah, the style of play is all wrong. If you're going to sign players that you've signed, then you've got to bring them in and fit them straight into the side. You brought him in, Newcastle straight away. They signed Voltamadu, bang, they start. I know they didn't have a striker, but you play him. The players need to learn what he's about. They need to know his attributes. They need to know what runs he likes to make, where he don't like. It can't get any worse for Man United. They've been terrible anyway. Get the players gelling. Get the players playing the way they want to play. Where does he like the ball? Does he not? Does he want it to feet? Does he want to run in behind? If you can't build partnerships in a team, what chance have you got? I watch Man United every time I go out and watch them. It's just a team of individuals.
Rio Ferdinand's prediction of a possible 6th or 7th place finish. Well, I know
it should never be acceptable. I don't know what's happened to Man United. They've fallen so far below the standard of what that football club is. It is outrageous. They are one of the biggest clubs in the world. It should never been allowed that they've been able to fall this far. Have you ever seen Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona fall apart like this? It's ridiculous. There's so many things wrong there. I don't know what the answer is. I really don't, because I'm not in that Manchester United. It ain't Ruben Amorim. It really ain't Ruben Amorim. The quicker they get rid of him, the quicker they bring in someone who knows what it is about at Man United. I don't think he's going to change their fortunes. I really don't.
Adam Quinn. Right, Adam, there seems to be a lot of problems at the club right now. What do you think the main problems are?
Well, what you're seeing on the pitch at the moment is obviously a joke. If you start with the players, they don't really look like they care. They're not playing to their full potential, in my opinion. If you look at Ruben Amorim, the style of football I'm seeing on the pitch at the moment is obviously shocking. The formation, that's not where Bruno Fernandes, you're going to get the best out of Bruno Fernandes. It's as simple as that. When you look at the wing backs, I think Dargo's, been okay this season, but, you saw who we saw at the start. We obviously need to get balls to the box. And Mazwari, one of his attributes that he's not good at for me is crossing the ball. So, we're not utilising the players that we have at our disposal at Manchester United, you shouldn't need like motivation or stuff like that to get yourself up for a Manchester derby, or even a football match. You should be able to motivate yourself. You're playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. But when you look at the top and you've seen what the Glazers have done over a substantial amount of time, they've put the club into the ground. They really have. They bleed the club dry. They put they put people that aren't football people process there. There is nothing there at Manchester United. For me, it's an unsavable football club right now. And there's just so many problems at the helm.
Yeah, I mean, there are football people in there now. I know that there wasn't in the past, that there are now. But Jamie, just to pick up on something that Adam said there about he doesn't think the players look like they care.
Yeah,
do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. I'm sorry, I can't agree with that. A lot of fans think a lack of confidence. They don't know where to run. They can't get near anyone. You see it so many times. It's not because they don't care. They're playing for Man United. They care. Are they ready to die for Manchester United? Well, that's going to give everything they can, but they're not good enough. They've got no structure. They've got no confidence. There's no belief in the squad that they can go and win games, that they can go and dominate teams. And I just can't believe what they're doing to this guy. Like I love Bruno Fernandes as a player. I think he's got magic in his boots, right? Every time he gets the ball, he wants to pass forward. He wants to make things happen. That's his game. You're asking him to play number 6. You're asking him to be the captain. You're asking him to have leadership qualities. Like, just play the guy number 10. Take everything else away from him and say, you're the best.
Those 10-year-olds, because we could have started Kobbie Mainoo, who came on and showed a bit of difference, a bit of class there, a bit of control to the game. If we started the game with Mainoo and maybe Casemiro, or even Mainoo and Ugarte and put Bruno in the 10 role, it could have been a bit better anyway, because you're utilising the players to their full potential and their best positions. So, yeah, I completely agree. I think Bruno Fernandes wasn't used properly in that role on Sunday.
I don't actually think Man United are that far away from being decent. Like, I think the recruitment in terms of Cunha and Mbeumo were really good signings. You probably need another window, but for me, the manager's so emotional. Like, he's so up and down, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and people say you like that. You can't be like that as a manager. You can't sit in the dugout and hide in the dugout when you're taking penalties against Grimsby.
He's too stubborn. He's too stubborn, and he won't adapt to the Premier League. You look at what Mikel Arteta did when he first came in. He could get to play his formation, play his style. Then you're seeing what's happening right now at Arsenal. But with Ruben Amorim, he's simply not adapting. He's saying that he won't change anything. We're probably still going to see Bruno in the 6. We're probably going to see Brian and Mbeumo. When you look at Ahmad, when you look at players like that, obviously they do care, and they play really well at times. And they put their heart and soul into the game. But when you look at it as an overall case, it's just an absolute club dying at this moment in time. It is. It really is.
In terms of the recruitment, a lot of money has been spent, but it has been criticised.
Just like overall.
I suppose since the new ownership came in, the new investment came in.
Yeah, like when you look at, obviously, this summer transfer window, I was saying it from the start of the transfer window that we needed individual seasons last season for Wolves and Brentford. We brought in Sesko, who, look, is obviously an unknown entity. Obviously he scored 13 Bundesliga goals last season. But do I think he was the man to lead the line for Man United this season? Probably not. We needed a guy who was probably in their prime more so, or scoring goals for fun in other leagues. But I still think Sesko has a lot of potential. But when I look at obviously the problem, I think last season, we probably needed a centre back, and we did get De Ligt, who obviously was very injury prone last season. And then, when you look at this season, I just think the midfield was...
I don't care what anyone says, the game ain't changed that much. Like, it's won and lost in midfield. If you've got energy, you've got legs in midfield. You see it, the Liverpool team that were unbelievable, the Man City team who were unbelievable, free in midfield, legs, energy, the grit that they had. And then you have players who are star quality who go and, win football matches. But you've got to have them legs. And Man United, 95% of the teams that you're going to play in the Premier League in Europe, they play free in midfield. What chance have you got when you've got... One, you haven't got legs with Casemiro and Fernandes, because that's not what their game's about. And
when you look at all the midfields in the Premier League at the moment, when you look at even the likes of Newcastle, Aston Villa, even like teams down near the bottom, like Fulham and, teams like that. I would even say Sunderland probably have a better midfield than Man United right now. When you look at Newcastle's midfield, they don't have, when they don't have, obviously, the quality, at times. They do obviously have Bruno Guimaraes, who's a quality player, but when you attack, so... for me, Man United are right down here at the bottom in terms of midfields. Like, they really are. So that's why we needed to go and sign a midfielder in the summer. It was a must.
We've got a voice, actually, from a different Adam who's given...
Hi, Sky Sports. I'm just curious that if Ruben Amorim leaves, who's going to replace him? what manager is going to want to come to this club?
Well, I'm telling you now, any manager with any sort of ego will take that job because they want to be the saviour. All right. So in terms of attracting a manager to the club, I don't think that's going to be a problem for Manchester United. The problem is, Adam, and all of the Manchester United guests we've had on have been saying the same thing. They can't pinpoint one manager, one obvious manager out there. Can you?
Into this football club, we've seen it with so many managers that have come in. We've seen them do well for maybe the first year or two. Obviously, it's different with Ruben Amorim. He hasn't done well at all. But for the likes of Mourinho, the likes of Ali, the likes of Ten Hag, second half of the second season and then the third season, the reason for this is because every manager that comes in is not going to be successful with this model that's at place. It's the same cycle every single 2 or 3 years. Manager comes in for the first year, does well. Second year, doesn't really get back to what he needs. Does okay for the second season. Third season, then he's gone. And then we bring in another manager. People hype it up. If you're asking me, who would I bring in right now? I don't know. Like I could give you names here and there that are good managers. Like I could give you Iraola from Bournemouth. But why would he leave Bournemouth for Manchester?
He left Brentford for Manchester United.
Come on.
I agree. He definitely would take the job. Obviously, like those managers would take the job because it's Man United, and they'll obviously want to be the person that takes Man United back to the top. But when you come in, you're seeing what's happening with Ruben Amorim. Obviously, like he's maybe not good enough to be the Man United manager, but you're seeing it again. Like it's obviously, but with this current model, it's not going to happen.
Well, Ruben Amorim is still the manager at this stage, and big game against Chelsea at the weekend. Adam, thank you.
Thank you.